Hello and welcome to yet another episode of The Roundtable. Just last week we said goodbye on the show and I'm delighted to be here again today for another insightful discussion on telly. My name is Morenikeji Shovaloju. You are all welcome aboard. Nation building is not a sole responsibility of government. It's actually a collective duty that requires the active participation of every citizen through patriotism, integrity, respect for the rule of law, payment of taxes, civic engagement, and commitment to promoting peace and unity. And as Nigeria continues its journey towards sustainable development, it is important to bear in mind the expected impact of you and I in achieving meaningful change. Are we, as citizens, playing our own part in building the nation we all desire, or we are expecting too much from government alone? So on the program today, we shall be examining the topic, nation building, the citizens' responsibility. And to help us unpack this important matter are two distinguished guests, that I have in the studio today. So firstly, I'll be welcoming in the studio Otumba Bolanle Gbeleyi, who is a former deputy speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly, and of course, you call him a politician. And I also have Pastor Tunji Badejo, a public affairs analyst and a clergyman, also who join me in the conversation today. And together, we shall be looking at the topic. Gentlemen, welcome to the studio. Yes, Honorable, nice having you join us.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Good morning,
and good morning to all the viewers at home.
Thank you so much for being part of the show. And to you, Pastor, nice having you in the studio today.
Thank you for having me. And I want to sincerely appreciate our viewers as well.
Thank you so much. Yes, we're actually looking at nation building, citizens' responsibility. Yes, let me start from our lawmaker here. Yes, you are the former deputy speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly, an active politician at that. You're still in politics and you're still, contributing your quota to the development of the nation. So when they are talking about nation building, why is it important for every Nigerian? What does this mean? Talking about explaining to a layman understanding what is nation building before we now look at what are the citizens' responsibility.
For us to know what we need to look at for nation building, we need to recognize the fact that it is citizens, the government, that are all responsible to have a better nation. That is, the leadership and the followership have responsibility. So we cannot be blaming everything on government or on the leadership. We also have to look at the followership. We all have responsibility as citizens to ensure that we are honest in our dealings with each other. We pay our taxes, because it's from these taxes that the government will raise money to do things. And government also have a responsibility to ensure that they fight corruption fairly, not loop-sided way. So we all have responsibility and role to play to have a better nation. And for a transformation to take place, we all have to agree that we are ready to rebuild Nigeria for better. Because things were not this bad until maybe 1980s, when it started declining to this level. That is corruption everywhere, in the church, in the mosque, in government, in the private sector, even in the family. So we need to resolve that we want to transform things by ensuring that we look after each other, we play our role, so that we can have a better society, a better nation. So government has to make sure the infrastructure are in place. The experience we've had for declining infrastructural decay, that has to come to an end, and we have to revamp things. Because if things are working, institutions are working, then every other thing will follow suit, will work.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Yes, Pastor, over to you now. Already Honorable has begun by telling us the role of everybody, including government. Has been able to let us, into a little of the understanding that nation building is actually not really for maybe government or the citizen, but it's a joint effort. It's a responsibility of all. But when you look at it, if you're talking about nation building, what exactly is nation building? How do you say, talk about nation building?
Once again, I want to sincerely appreciate the takeoff point. When you are talking about a nation, the first and foremost, they are talking about who make up a nation, the leaders and the led. And we all have a common goal to pursue in terms of our nation evolving from where we are to where we desire to be. And that is not going to happen overnight. We must set a goal. We must be objective in whatever we want to do. Each nation has its own peculiarity. And like us, we know what we want and we know how do we go about it. So nation building cannot be given a specific definition. It differs from one place to another. But the most essential thing is that you can't talk of nation building when we are not talking about the citizenship. They are the main concern. Government doesn't exist for existence sake. You are there because whoever that is in power today is not the most qualified. Is only being privileged. And we 235 million people cannot lead at the same time. Somebody must be the one leading. And whenever we have somebody leading, maybe let's look at democratic process, you throw up yourself, you bring out yourself that you want to contest social office, meaning that you know what it takes and what is our collective bargain in terms of growth and development. So nation building revolves around growth and development, which cascade down to the people. People are the center of nation building. Anything outside that is just being economical with the truth.
Okay, when you will agree with me that a nation cannot stand without its citizen. Yes, the people makes a nation, and the people are the citizen of every nation. But we are now looking at it that to an extent, so many Nigerians to an extent demand responsibility, demand too much accountability and all of that from government. Why do we have it so? Is it that people are beginning to neglect, what is supposed to be their own, duty and roles in nation building? Because, talking about basic amenities, fine, it is understandable that government are supposed to make all of these things available for the citizenry. But of course, people are now beginning to throw, if a water pipe is busted at every a community now, they say government. If a small pothole is on maybe community roads, maybe all this, they will still say government. So is it that people are beginning to talk about maybe that they are neglecting their own role in nation building when you look at it, or we just believe that government alone is responsible?
Thank you. I so much appreciate the top nation building, citizen responsibility. First thing first. Who is a citizen? Citizen is a legal member of a country or a state who has what they call full rights, protection, and duties. They have full rights in terms of right to live in a nation, right to be protected, right to be cared for. And at the same time, he or she equally has a duty of giving back to the society. Now, when you look at 1999 Constitution as amended, Section 24, it stated it clearly. What are the roles of the citizen? We have defined citizen as a member of a nation or a country or a community with a full right, protection, and duties. Meaning that when we try to put it in such a way that can easily make it so easy for people to understand, you are talking about we are talking about civic and legal responsibility. In civic and legal responsibility, obeying the laws. In civic and legal responsibility, paying taxes. In civic and legal responsibility, protecting public infrastructures. Now, look at the second leg is social. We are talking about economy and social growth. In economy and social growth, there are some areas we look at dignity of labor. It is the government may not provide job. It is not within the power of government to provide job for everybody. But government has the responsibility of creating an enabling environment for high level of industrialization that will provide job for the citizenry. So we are talking about dignity of labor. We are talking about community service. I'm a community man. I'm a secretary in my community. I participate very well. Up till 8 p.m. yesterday, I was still handling the construction of a security post. I met them this morning. I gave them what I'm supposed to give them. So the second leg is economy and social growth, which involves the right of a citizen, the duty of a citizen. One is to ensure that you are involved in your community and fostering unity as well. And the last one, thank God, Honorable, is here, political participation. When you look at, even when you break it into three, it says obeying the laws and the constitution. When we are talking about, it says laws, they are laws through the act of assembly, they call extant law. They are laws through the act of the local government, we call it bylaw. So meaning that even in a community level, we come up with a law that it is restricted for anybody to move between so hour and so hour. So when you are now talking about political participation, that is where most problems lies. Aside from voting, who holds those in government accountable? Is it not our duty? But the moment we vote for 4-year cycle, we go back into our shell. We are no more interested the way they run the country. We are not saying we should destructively criticize them, but we must be constructive. And whatever we want to say, we should learn to benchmark it in such a way that a reasonable person will sit back and look at it that what this person is saying is actually making sense.
Well, thank you so much. You hold on there while I just, turn to Honorable Wile here. We're talking about making lawmaking as part of, the components for nation building. When there are rights laws in place, all this tax law, tax compliance, and every other thing, when they are in place, then you can begin to talk about, nation building. You can begin to talk about a well-developed nation. So when you look at it as a lawmaker, people are beginning to, have this kind of mixed feelings when it comes to holding government responsible, accountability, and taking responsibility. So where is the missing link? How do you explain this? Is it that people are going to be asking for their rights, and also, like I asked earlier, also neglect or forget what they are supposed to do? Like Pastor told us here, he's been involved in community, building his community. He's been part of a particular construction and all of that. But a lot of people, when you look at political process now, a lot of people begin to look at those in power, those in political position as being responsible. They are demanding, for accountability and the likes, and forget that, okay, this is what I can do as, my own contributions too.
Yes, every citizen has a duty to make their own contribution at various levels, at the community level, at voluntary level. Even with the work they do, they make their own contribution. And you are expected to ensure that through those levels of participation, you call people in government, that is the elected officials, the politicians who have been elected, who are holding office, to account. you have every right at your CDA level, community level, to invite your member of parliament that is representing your state house of assembly constituency, or the federal house of rep, or the senatorial district. You can invite them. It's just that people don't know all these rights, and they don't know how to exercise this right. They have every right. You are not calling them to say you want to demand financial gain from them. You are asking them to come and account. You can do so. Whereas when I was even in the house, I usually go home, town hall meeting, having everybody to come around to discuss issues that affect them, not just proposing motion on the floor, but from them that I gather information that I need to use on the floor to serve their interests. So it is in the interest of the elected officials too to ensure that there's engagement. Town hall meeting at various levels, meet your constituency, know what are their issues, what are the problems they are facing, so that you can collaborate with them, you can provide an inclusive representation that take into account their needs. However, we the citizens have every duty to make sure they live up to their expectation, like paying their taxes, getting involved in voluntary work, in the community work, ensuring that they are also honest in their transaction. They don't encourage corruption, because corruption is one of the things that has brought down our institutions. So if we don't encourage it, it will die gradually or will be reduced to minimum level. So we need to encourage that we fight corruption. Everybody, both the leadership and the followership. Vote by, we have to disown it. You cannot be asking for money when you want to go and vote and be expecting to hold those elected people to account. So it's better for us to shun vote buying, not to sell our votes. Register to vote, collect your PVC, and vote with your conscience. Don't follow religion or ethnicity. Vote for competence. Vote for somebody who you know that can perform and can represent you and that will listen to you. You have that right. As my colleague, Pastor Tunji Bade just said, you don't just vote and then
leave them to their affairs
and return your share and withdraw to your share and waiting for another 4 years cycle to come before you now start saying, who are we going to vote for? You vote for them and you follow their progression, their performance. You call them to account. You don't leave them to be on their own, because they are serving you. They are not serving themselves. Every elected politician or those appointed in government, they are serving the people. They are not serving themselves. So the people also have to know how to hold them to account, invite them to meeting, round table. So we are saying pay your taxes. You also have to be able to ask government, how are you spending this money? If you go around and you notice a project that is ongoing, that's not being done properly, you have every right to write to the department that is supervising that project, that have observed that this bridge you are building, you have not done it properly, the base, the reinforcement, there is no, if you have no technical knowledge, you offer it freely to do a positive criticism by writing to the appropriate government department that is supervising that project. So it is very, very important that we all know our level and expectation of contribution.
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable. Something is still not clear yet.
Yeah.
Okay, to an extent, we really do not have, something differentiating, let's say the role of citizen and the role of government in terms of nation building. We're talking about development. Government will provide basic amenities. Infrastructures must be in place. This is supposed to be, the role of government, basic provision of basic amenities. But, you're talking about citizens paying their taxes, holding government accountable and the likes. But when you look at it, do you think it is right, yes, for citizens to come together and build road.
No,
Are citizens also,
I don't subscribe to citizens building roads.
Coming together to build, maybe a school building is dilapidated to a level, and maybe government is not looking at that side. Are citizens also, is it part of the citizens' right? Because I have seen cases where the community actually come together, to do the reconstruct.
Yeah, because they have been abandoned, because government has neglected that area. That's why citizens are being forced to do things that government should be doing
first. Okay.
So we need to hold government accountable to provide infrastructure, provide security, so that there can be safety in our society. The role of the citizen when it comes to security is to supply information, cooperate with the security agency, give them information about any security risk in their community. But we are being forced to now hire security guards in our area, build a security gate, because the government is not able to live up to it. The United Nations has a number of police officers that should be for each community. We are not meeting that standard. So we should have enough police officers patrolling. When I was young, we used to have police patrolling the Land Rover in our communities. They don't
see them often.
Yeah, in those days. But how many of them do you see today? Even the government is trying their best, providing, you see some state government, some local government, giving police vehicles to help them. But after all, they have their own federal allocation.
Even some communities still go as far as, buying.
Yes, just to encourage them.
So I'm asking, is this actually supposed to be citizens' right? There are times we should also be able to define, okay, what are the responsibilities and rights of citizens, and what are those things, so that we'll be able to know where government is failing.
Well, they are failing that area, that's the truth. But we are not allowing that failure to affect us as citizens. That's why we are making contribution at different community level to buy vehicles for police, even companies, we ask them to pay.
Even to build to the level of building roads.
Building roads. So government has to live up to their expectation. Provide infrastructure, roads, bridges, schools. That is the function of government. They have to ensure that they look after the welfare of the citizen. When they perform all those functions, then the citizen duty is to pay their taxes. And to also ask, how are you spending this money? How much did you spend for that school buildings? We have a right to ask them. Not just building the school, maybe the building cost could have done 3 buildings for us, but they've only built 1 building. So that is where the citizen comes in to question government. How much did you spend? How much? Because if I want to build my own house for this kind of building, I know how much it costs. So we have every right to hold our government accountable. And we need to start exercising that. But to do that successfully, we also have to play our duty, play our role, pay our taxes, do things that is expected from the citizen. The young ones should be enterprising, they should be innovative, they should look at how they can create jobs for themselves. They shouldn't be waiting that government, we are waiting for government employment, we are waiting for government empowerment. We should be creative, especially our youth. We say youth are the leaders of tomorrow, but they are leaders of today. It starts from today. So they have to think, they have to be proactive. Awolowo and Zik, they were all in their 20s, 30s when they were starting to fight for Nigeria to be independent, for political emancipation. So if you look at those ages today, they are still in their under their parents' umbrella. They can't take decisions even for themselves, not to talk of planning for the country. So we need to get ourselves back, transformation, so that we can have 20-year-old, 25-year-old thinking for how Nigeria will be better.
Thank you so much. Yes, Pastor, something is critical here from this discussion. you would agree with me that, we have rightly analyzed, government is not kind of doing enough in terms of, their rights, their roles, and playing the responsibility, carrying out their responsibilities. We've seen cases whereby, even religious institutions has gone ahead to build, to construct, to provide basic amenities as is supposed, maybe by, creating borehole and stuff like that for community, by maybe kind of reconstructing or renovating a dilapidated or abandoned school building, public school building. So how do you react to this? What will you tell the government? When you look at it, these are things that are accurately defined, roles of government and the roles of the citizens. Citizens are meant to pay the taxes, holding government accountable, but there are some things that are supposed to be the duty of government, living undone by government, and the community are taking responsibility. The people, the citizens are coming together in their number to say, okay, we are not going to allow government to leave this, abandon this, but let's just make our own contribution. So how do you react to this scenario?
I want to look at it holistically. Think of democracy. Say democracy is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. Who are the people? Those in government, are they not a product? Is it that you're an executive, legislature, or probably judiciary? But each time I want to objectively analyze the situation in our country, I look at our value orientation. The issue is simply, do we have a guiding compass? Do we really know what we wanted and how do we get it? Society threw up the type of leaders it deserved. And each time I don't lay the bulk of this problem on the doorstep of our leaders, but I look at even ourselves and I analyze it critically. Look at the value orientation, I say the guiding principle. Personal, culture, social, and business. They are set of laws that should regulate the way we behave, the way we do things. If we are talking of democracy evolving, it has been for 27 years now. We'll be having set of laws that can really assist us to get things right. We'll be having other collaboration, like at the point we have MDG, between 2000 and 2015, 2015 to 30, now we have SDG. We have levels of how to implement all this. But you discovered that if we ourselves, as an individual, it is going to be pretty difficult for me to push in some things. But let me be honest with you, we have a labor organization, which is a pressure group. We have civil society organization. They are equally a pressure group. We can have a kind of collaboration. Let's come up with things that we feel government is not doing well, and these are areas you can improve on it. Give an example. Labor union, I'm not castigating them. For quite some time, they've not been asking questions. Since the issue of almost trade, government has been making money. Citizens have been paying heavily for fuel. In what way is government going to cushion it? These are questions I expect from labor.
We have the benefits of this.
And let me look at the man from TUC. He's from Pengasson. So he has every information on how much fuel, how much government is making in the last 5 months. So it's going to be very difficult for an individual. I will give you an example. I sat back and I looked at traveling from Abeokuta to Interchange, from Kobakwe down to Interchange. Look at the way industries are springing up. I pray it won't be like when you are going from Wharf to Oshodi. At a point in time, trailer will take almost all the roads. So these are areas that we can begin to speak to government. What do you do in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years? what is going to become this corridor, as much as we are earning heavily on personal income tax now, federal government is earning heavily on company income tax. But what will be the fate of the citizen in the next 10, 20 years? By the time you have the lineup of industries in this area, and you have a trailer, truck no less than 100 waiting to offload or waiting to load, and they take half of the road. So these are areas we need to begin to put our legislators, because act of legislating will tell you, you bring the law, a resolution, and you do oversight. And now, thank God, I'm hearing it from Honorable Beleyi for the first time. I know it's supposed to be the part and parcel that you report back to your constituency. At least once in a while, we want to hear from you, so that in the process of budget making, we will tell you, this is what we need, and that is not what we need. So we appear to be at fault, everybody in this situation. But at the same time, we can now begin to speak into issues and leave sentiment aside. Like you rightly said, we want to vote religion on the tribal sentiment. We're supposed to leave that aside. Whoever that wants to lead, let's benchmark what development is all about. This is what we want. In the next 5 years, in the next 4 years, let me give you, before I round off on this session. Years back, I sat down.
Yes, we apologize for that break in transmission. The program is still Roundtable on OGTV, and we'll be discussing nation building and citizens' responsibility. And I have with me in the studio Pastor Tunji Badije, clergyman and a public affairs analyst, and of course, Otumba, or I call him Honorable Segun Bolanle-Beleyi, the former Deputy Speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly. Together in the studio, we'll be looking at the issue and analyzing what is expected, what are the expected rights of citizens in nation building, and what are the roles of government in making sure that we have a very a full developed nation, Nigeria. Yes, like you were saying before, that age in transmission, we were talking about the fact that citizens should also take full responsibility in holding government accountable. Do you think at this point, at this state of the nation that has been practicing democracy for more than 2 decades, do you think at this level people should also still be having the mindset of like you've said before, immediately after one election cycle, people are elected, then the citizens go back into their shell. They are not asking questions. Nobody is saying anything. Nobody is doing anything. In this age and time, are we still supposed to still be having such a situation?
No, definitely no. Like I said...
So what do we need to change?
One thing, we need to change our orientation, our belief system. That 4 years will be over, but keep adding 4 years to 1 year. How long will somebody keep waiting until it gets better? I said, when you look at, let me just chip in this 1 or 2 minutes. As I look at the word change, if I want to interrogate into the affairs of a party, or a party is coming with its own manifesto, I can easily tell the party, if they are campaigning on the mantra change, I said, my belief is that you must give me 4 things. Change can be momentary. Change can be marginal. Change can be meaningful. And change can be monumental. You can start with being momentary. Momentary is most things we do palliatives, just to cushion the effect of economic hardship. And within the next 4 or 5 years, it is possible the change is marginal. But we have succeeded in laying the foundation that will take us to the future we desire. But by the time we get to a milestone of meaningful, everybody will say no. Like a case of what EFCC and DSS is presently doing is commendable. They appear to be getting it right than what we used to have. That is a meaningful change. We don't do public courts for people. They will have concluded every arrangement. So they get conviction now than before. So by the time you now talk about monumental change, monumental is like having a refinery working. We've had series of turnaround maintenance. The immediate past government, they awarded it 1.5 billion. The Warri Petrochemical and the Port Harcourt, the two refinery, the refinery worked less than 1 year, packed up.
I think that sector is where the major problem is in the country as of today. That particular sector. And
that's why I said
it's not appearing like a solution is coming anytime soon.
From the recent discourse, the group chief executive officer, Bayo Julari, said they had a partnership, they are into partnership with a Chinese firm that has a track record, that we should give them 24 months. So I want to believe that 24 months will soon be around. My prayer is that this time around, we will get it right. At least we keep trying until we get the solution. But the citizen, when you don't benchmark what growth and development is all about, little things will make you to feel it's like watching a football. A goal doesn't really mean you've won a match. The opponent can turn around and score 3 in a quick succession. So we discover that just celebration is momentary.
Thank you so much, Pastor. It's insightful to have this contribution from you. Yes, now to you, Honorable Wiley. Let's talk about, because when you were rounding up your last contribution, you were talking about youth. You were talking about youth being creative and all of that. So let's look at youth and community development. Now, in these days that we have our youth not even channeling their energy towards a kind of any nation building. Once a youth is well built, is able to meet ends means, is able to provide food on his table, it's fine. Nothing concerns any youth nowadays. In fact, to me, it's like a new normal when you see them. Even if you try to preach to them that, no, there are things you should do, the Omoluabi and all of that. And the answer will be, who Omoluabi help? So I want to ask you now that what role, should Nigerian youth play in promoting nation building or national development?
They should help us to fight corruption, because the transformation that we are seeking has to start with fighting corruption, and fighting corruption at all levels, in the society, in government. When I say society, that's mean in the church, in the mosque, in the traditional setting, in the family, at home. And this is where the family has a major role to play. They need to bring up responsible children. They bring up responsible children. They will be responsible youth. And they will be responsible leader of today and tomorrow. Because they will know that it's not good to steal. It's not good to take something that does not belong to you. We need to bring back that values which we have lost. We need to bring back the ethos of where people will be honest. That has eroded us over the years. I mean, going back to maybe 1980s, things decided been declining, and that is because of institutional failure, the infrastructural failure, lack of maintenance. Government empowerment needs to be upskilled. They need to improve on it, to touch the life of the youth, to give them hope, so that the youth, when they know that there is a lot of facility, there is a lot of provision, there is a lot of empowerment for them, they will also be creative. They will be willing to set up businesses. They will be innovative. And they will raise the bar on their own. Not only that, our youth need to participate in the election. They need to get registered, get PVC, collect their PVC, and vote wisely. Vote for the person that they think is capable of doing the job. They should not sell their votes. They should vote wisely. Vote for the party that has program for them. The party that they know they can hold responsible and accountable. That's very, and they should not engage in any violence. They should not allow to be used for violence, especially with this election that's coming around the corner. We can't afford to have youth getting involved in violence. But this political violence, it doesn't work it at all.
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable. Pastor, 40 to 45% of the population, this percentage is, youth covered, talking about the population of the country. And when you look at it today, this is not equating to the expected contribution of youth in terms of nation building. Because if you're having 40 to 45%, and the topmost on the agenda of every youth today is getting rich quick syndrome. Everybody wants to be rich, and forgetting how the riches comes in. Yes, Honorable has been talking about corruption. These days we've been having stories of, on the highlights of young ones going to not healthy, activity in terms of how they want to make money. They are not even concerned about how the money comes, but they just want to make money. So how do we go about, controlling this so that at the end of the day, all of these things will amount together and we have a well-developed nation?
Thank you. I so much appreciate at a point in time, the Honorable said something. Because each time we mention corruption, we want to just limit it to financial corruption. But he said something. When you see a medical doctor is interested in getting to the root of the sickness or the disease. So they call something predisposing factors. Two things has gone bad over time. We have institutional failure and we have a societal failure. Those ones are, and we are the society, we are the institution. One of the most prominent institutions is marriage. When you have your kid, you have your children, they spend close to 15, 16, 17 hours with you. Less than the hours they spend in the school, less than the hours they spend in a religious center. What type of value? That is where we should start. And it concerns, because people listen to we pastors, listen to the cleric in the mosque. We have a level of moral decadence. People are so morally bankrupt because we don't address issues. We are beginning to be sentimental. When Honorable keeps saying 80s and what, before then, you don't bring a car that knows that in the next 10 years you can't work for this car to pay for it.
You can actually afford it.
You can't afford it. But today everybody don't want to ask you a question. How do you come about this car? They want to celebrate your arrival. So the two areas has to be the institutional failure, which largely lies on the marriages. And the clerics have a lot of responsibility, teaching people what is expected, what parenting is all about. What parenting is all about. Like people say in Yoruba, say some funny things. Are you a lunatic? Before you get married, don't you know you are going to be responsible for certain things? Raising up that child, you sit him or her down, tell him this is what they call ethos of omoluabi. When your child comes from the school, you bother to check his bag whether he has piffered someone as something. So he grew up to see you living a life that is not a kind of life that can be emulated. So at the end of the day, you keep pointing accusing finger to the government. So it is largely failure of the institution, marriage per se, and failure, and that is what dovetail into societal failure. Because from the marriage, we move into society. And it begins to cut corners because you are not properly brought up. Where you need to be scolded, they just rub one's ego and say, oh, it doesn't really matter. Over time, it will change. Nothing's changed overnight. You must inculcate the discipline. So that is the major thing. And the part of government is that we have National Orientation Organization.
Agency.
The National Orientation Agency. It appears they are not what we used to have in the era of Mansa. Professor Ghana, and then it appears nothing seems to be happening. They only come around when it's to educate us how to vote.
Okay, and quickly before, as a clergyman, we cannot have a pastor at the house and not also asking what the role of religious institutions should be in nation building. So, do you also support the fact that the institution can also help instill, the expected or the citizenship values as expected in nation building?
100%. When you see the way people pay attention to us, you discover that we have a lot to do in terms of bringing values, in terms of inculcating morals. But the issue is physician heal yourself. Quite a lot of things has gone on. And because society seems not to be asking questions, we applaud things that are supposed not to be applauded.
We clap a lot, especially in Nigeria. At every point, we applaud.
We easily get carried.
Yes. Finally, with you too, yes, Honorable. What one habit should let me just say one habit every Nigerian adopts for nation building? You want to, tell our viewers out there, we want to just give a word of advice. A particular, a kind of habit that you think, yes, you're talking about corruption, you're talking about so many things here, but a particular habit that you think every citizen should adopt, at least for nation building.
I think we should resolve to live as a law-abiding citizen. When you live as a law-abiding citizen, that means you keep to the side of the law. You will not do anything wrongfully that is forbidden for you not to do. As a youth, as a student, you will not join courtesan. You will not cheat during your exam. You will live responsibly.
Be patriotic.
Yes.
Yes, you are saying we should in all areas be patriotic.
Exactly. So if we can all do that, we will have a better society. And for us, the adults, to do the same thing. Be honest in our dealings, in our environment, support each other, and support what the government is doing. That is positive.
Thank you so much. Nice having you on the show today.
Let me just say one in a few seconds. Let me sum it up this way. Play your part and let me play my part. In a system that works, government gives people future. We have social securities. When, after so many years, where do you return to? Government cannot put it on us. They should play their part as well.
Thank you so much. And as we round up on the program today, something is very, very clear. And that's talking about what we are expecting too much from government. We should also, as a citizen, contribute our own quota to the development of our nation. And a stronger Nigeria begins, with responsible leadership and responsible citizenship. The future of our nation depends on not only on what government does for us, but also on what each of us is willing to do for our country. So we want to appreciate you for being part of the program today. We'll come again next week for another interesting edition of your program, Roundtable, where we shall be discussing a very, important topic that affects all of us. Until next week, my name is Mureni Keji Shobaluju. Goodbye.